All right, Heat Seekers, it's Brad from RotoHeat.com. We're going to talk about some player breakdown today. Today's player we're going to talk about is Nick Chubb. Currently, he's ranked at 24 in overall ADP. And for the price point, it may be a little high, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to break down a little bit more of what's baked into that and what we think is going to happen. He's on a team that's super exciting. You know, the Cleveland Browns is a team that everybody's talking about. Funniest thing is that nobody's talking about him nearly as much as they're talking about Duke Johnson with all of his drama that's going on. Will they trade him? Will they not trade him? Kareem Hunt, you know, we know he's going to be suspended for 8 games. So there's that's playing into it. And then obviously we've got the exciting wide receivers, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, David Njoku. But Nick Chubb's kind of the forgotten guy. But he probably may very well at the end of the year be the most consistent producer of all these players. You know, last year we really weren't sure. You had a lot of the very similar situation, except instead of Kareem Hunt, it was Carlos Hyde. You know, everybody was thinking that Carlos Hyde was going to be kind of the guy there, and that Nick Chubb would be brought along slowly. But we didn't see that. You know, he really did well last year. Producing well beyond what people expected. You know, pretty close to a 1,000-yard rusher. Obviously took the reins so quickly that they wound up trading Carlos Hyde to Jacksonville. So Nick Chubb's not somebody to sleep on. At 24, I think he's a tad bit overvalued because you still have guys like Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, and even like a Keenan Allen that are behind him some that probably hold just a slight bit more value in my opinion. But that being said, you know, he is one of the better running backs and one of the more consistent running backs, and one of the running backs that you're fairly safe to trust isn't going to lose you points because of his attitude or his inability to stay on the field. You know, he's a guy that injury is going to be the only thing that takes him out of football. He's got a very good attitude. He doesn't get himself in trouble off the field nearly to the same extent as somebody like Kareem Hunt will. But we know with Kareem Hunt suspended for 8 games that Nick Chubb's going to have the lion's share of carries at least for the first 8 weeks of the year. And if this running game and this offense clicks like everybody expects in Freddie Kitchens' year 2, then this could be a really big offense to be in. And Nick Chubb is really in the perfect spot because he's going to add on. Now, last year, the Browns had 411 total carries between their running backs. So that was Duke Johnson, who I think had less than 50. Then you had Carlos Hyde, and then Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb was still under 200 carries. I think he was in the 190 range. And I think with the way that this offense is run and the way that they're building this offense, there are going to be a lot of mouths to feed, but I don't see those 411 carries dipping too terribly far below 400. I would expect there to be somewhere around 350 to 400 touches still in this offense to be had. You know, in the first 8 weeks of the season, that's going to be Nick Chubb, Duke Johnson, and then whatever guy makes it through training camp for them is that number 3 until Kareem Hunt comes back. So it's safe to bet on Nick Chubb, definitely for the first 8 weeks of the year, and then even beyond. You know, he really holds value beyond that because this coaching staff and this team selected him. They believed in him. Yes, they brought in Kareem Hunt, and Kareem Hunt's a very talented guy, but they have a role specifically for Chubb, and he does it very well. He was able to catch some passes, not a ton, but you know, there's probably going to be about 100 receptions to go around to the running backs, and depending on what actually happens with Duke Johnson should get most of the receptions, but there were still some last year for Nick Chubb. You know, so as a guy that you can bank on as your starter week in and week out, I would take Nick Chubb. I wouldn't take him at 24, but I would definitely take him not far after that. You know, like I said, I would probably take Tyreek Hill before him. I would probably take a guy like Keenan Allen before him, Amari Cooper, and then Mike Evans. Those are 4 guys that I would consider going before him that have fallen behind him in ADP that are lower than 24. But it's safe to bet on Nick Chubb this year and beyond. He is a great redraft option, a great dynasty option. He's going to be great for you for the long term. And that is what we've got on Nick Chubb. Subscribe. Click the notification bell so that you can be up to date on all the amazing Roto Heat content that's on here. Also, make sure that you check out all of our other player breakdowns. We've got some amazing content creators at Roto Heat that are pumping out player breakdowns. They've got all sorts of great guys that are coming up for you to take a look at. So until next time, this is Brad from Roto Heat.